Welcome, everybody, to the big show. Today, we're going to talk about the 5 mistakes dealers make. It's an interesting conversation. There's a lot of insights. We talk about what's in the news and kind of the, impending challenges of the industry and much, much more coming up on this edition of Service Drive Revolution. Happy 4th of July, everybody. It's that time.
There's a birthday coming up.
Christian and I will be in Washington jet skiing. What are you doing, Hoagie, for 4th of July? You having a barbecue?
Yeah, I think we're gonna have some people over to the house.
You want to try this
believe so.
special tequila?
Oh, sure. Is that for me?
By the way, this bottle of tequila, if you open your phone to Safari and you put it over that little dot, it brings up an explanation of what the tequila is.
Oh, well.
That's pretty smart.
Doesn't this bottle look like kind of like Picasso designed it?
Oh, yeah. I could see that.
Pretty cool, huh?
That is.
So a friend of mine that's a tequila connoisseur tasted this and gave it a 8.5 out of 10, which is like you and I giving it a 10.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's got a burn on the front, but it goes away really quick. It's interesting. It'll be like something you look scared of it.
Okay.
Are you scared of it?
Yeah, I'll probably shelf it for a little bit later. I'm better not right at the moment, but it's got burn on the front. You said, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you afraid there's going to be technical questions or something?
No. A test.
That's funny.
What are you doing for 4th of July?
I think we're just gonna have some people over, barbecue, get some fireworks. My dad always likes to go all out and get like all the mortars and all that stuff. So I think that's the plan.
That happens where we are at the lake.
Oh yeah.
I don't really like doing it. It's a lot of work. I just like watching.
Yeah, don't they?
It
Weren't
is
you
a
telling me they light them over the lake, over the water, or something like that?
Oh, it's a huge.
Yeah.
It's a competition. Like people on the lake try to
outdo each other and everything.
You would think that like Microsoft sponsored the
People are cashing in their
fireworks shows.
401k for their 4th of July setup.
It's nuts. We have a guy like 2 houses down too that literally just blows up his dock. Like,
Yeah.
and he's going till like 1 a.m. It's funny.
That's one of those
great.
things where you can't get too old to enjoy fireworks.
Yeah,
So
it's great.
It's pretty.
It
cool.
is. It is a lot of work going through all of it. So I used to enjoy it a lot more than I do these days. But
Christian is literally doing the National Lampoon Christmas Vacation thing where he's renting.
you got
an
another
RV.
RV this year?
Yeah.
Showing up
Sweet.
in an RV.
Doing an RV, running up the 101 freeway up
Okay.
up California,
He's
and then
got a
going
bathrobe.
through. That would be great to just drive with the bathrobe the whole time, and then the cousin Eddie hat. Oh my gosh, that would be so amazing. But yeah, I'm pretty excited for the trip. It's gonna be good. So this is the 4th year in a row of doing an RV
that
trip. Yeah.
Oh,
So you got we did Yellowstone,
okay.
Sequoia,
Okay.
Grand Canyon, and now this.
Okay.
What are you gonna do besides coming up to the lake? Where else are you gonna see?
So I think there's a couple of places right on like the California, like Mount Shasta. We're gonna go up and see that. There's a couple of different beach spots that we're gonna do, like Pismo, and that's not too far away, but that's our first stop. And then we're gonna spend some time in Portland. We're also gonna go visit one of our coaches in Bend.
Oh, you are gonna see Coach Peter?
Pizza?
So we're gonna stop up there for a little while, and then
That's a beautiful area.
on our way to
Through
Washington.
Portland, you can sign up for Antifa.
Yeah, they've been waiting for me, I would assume. So
They're looking for you.
That's great. As we were talking about fireworks, I think it's actually kind of a miracle, just with how ridiculous I was as a child, that I still have all 10 fingers. I did some stuff I was not supposed
That's what I
to
kind of
do with
figure
those
my
fireworks.
luck is. Like, I don't need to take any chances. 'Cause I remember how many times those fuses just
They went off.
bam.
I mean, me and my friends were dumb enough. We used to shoot Roman candles at each other. Anybody else do that?
Yeah.
Like the fireballs. It's like Like,
Yeah.
what could possibly go wrong? Like, your clothes couldn't start on fire or anything
You
like
always
that.
heard about
so.
the kid in school that lost his hand, but
And we're
Yeah.
like, that idiot.
he never
Like,
came back.
It could have just been us.
Yeah.
I won't name him by names, but one of our clients in Texas I was visiting recently, and he like, I mean, it literally pretty much, I don't want to get too graphic, but like blew his hand in half, just recently, like last 4th of July maybe, or the one before that.
Oof.
But yeah, he was shooting off mortars, and one stuck in the tube, and there was people around,
So
so he didn't
scary.
want to like throw it or anything like that, so he just like stuck it behind him, and it and like,
Ow.
oh, it was. He showed me a picture of it that
I don't want to
if
see
he
that.
would have asked me, I would have said no, I don't want to see it. But so
He looks pretty recovered, though.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's got pretty good. Like all in all, I was really surprised that they were able to make it what it is today. But yeah,
The irony is
unfortunately,
he's
that's a
actually
theme with.
he's also a responsible guy. He would not be
Yeah,
the
yeah,
one
yeah,
that I would
yeah,
expect.
right.
that
Yeah,
to be
no,
the
I was
case,
surprised
but
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take a couple books to read.
Yeah.
That's what I will do. Christian on a jet ski is dangerous enough.
Yeah, so that's a other funny thing is like, so I told Raylan, my son, that I'm like, yeah, we're gonna be on the lake with Mr. Collins and we're gonna ride jet skis. He's like, are you driving? So there might have been an issue with the jet ski a couple of years ago where like I literally dumped, so it was me, Raylan and Claudia on the jet ski, and it was a 2-person jet ski and I was putting 3 people in. I don't know if you guys can tell, the camera adds 10 pounds. Like let's just be honest about that, but I'm bigger. And so there's just a lot of weight on this jet ski. when I gunned it to get everything going, we all flew off. And it was super traumatic for him, and he still hasn't gotten over that.
He's not
yet.
going to want to go on
So
the water
no,
with you?
I'll get him on there. As a matter of fact, actually, the chances are way better that he'd go with you than go with
I
me.
don't like having somebody
You're a
behind me on
solo
a
guy.
jet ski.
I don't even know if I
don't even
remember-
understand what the purpose of that
Yeah.
is.
I feel like
Like,
I've only
why would
seen
you want to ride behind somebody on a jet ski?
You got to drive that thing.
It's too
but-
intimate. I don't know.
But I do
It's
think that
like, I like my freedom.
right, that is you seeing him on a jet ski, like he's that not a care in the world. He's got his music on, like that's
Yeah.
your happy place a little bit.
Yeah.
But I do think that one thing's that so he won't ride with me on a jet ski because he's worried about me knocking him off. But if we let Tim take him out on the boat, the raft thing, the tube, and he flings him all over the place, he'd never be happier. It doesn't make any sense.
My parents love to torture kids. They think it's the funnest thing.
And
They're-
so would
they're
he.
screaming
Yeah.
bloody murder, and they're just laughing. Like
But
it's funny. So I went and put the jet skis in. I don't know. It was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
More than that now. And of course, like the batteries are dead, the whole thing, right? But I get them in the water, and the one was dead, so I had to tow it to the
Mhm.
dock, and then I ran a trickle charger through the water, which is
What could go
no-
wrong?
nothing
there,
could go
too?
wrong, but it worked. But I took the other one that the battery worked out. And it's funny because those jet skis are exactly the same. I got them at the same time. They're 2 different colors, but they're the same model, same
Mhm.
everything. One of them is a pain in the ass. Like if something's going to break or whatever, it's that one, right?
Was that the one that had the light come on right when
Yeah.
she got on it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's the blue one, which that's the one I should trade in for the 325. But I wanted to go for a ride or whatever, but the other one, was dead. So I go out and Missy rode behind me, and I just, went, and it's like, I don't know, let's say it's like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the evening or whatever.
Mhm.
And I'm like, is it raining? Like I kept getting like water drops on my face, and I'm like, oh yeah, I guess it must be sprinkling. But I'm looking up and it's clear skies, like no clouds. And I'm like, what's going on? When I get back, there were bugs all over my face and beard.
Oh,
I guess it was that time of year or something. I've never had that happen where there were that many bugs. The fish were jumping too, though.
yeah.
It was funny. Yeah, black. I looked like the front of a windshield that had been on a long road trip on my face. And I tell my parents that, and they're like, "You didn't smile, did you?" It's like,
Try to catch
I
the raindrops
guess.
on your tongue.
It's pretty funny. What's in the news, Christian?
I've got two pieces of information in the news and really just kind of supporting the importance of service and fixed ops, because I think that like there's a cliff coming on the variable side, and it's just like we can kind of see it coming, that there's some things that are stacking now. And the first is that it's from Money Magazine, talking about the fact that the car dealer inventory has really just been ballooning up over the last 12, 13 months. And there was a point where it was...
They're refusing inventory.
Yeah, in some cases, the dealers are refusing inventory. And
Flooring expenses
Yep.
up because of interest rates.
Yeah, remember there was a time where people were making money on flooring expense because they were moving the car so fast and everything like
Let's
that.
explain flooring, because a lot of people in fixed ops don't know what that means, but
Yes.
explain it.
So the way that I would explain it is, if I had a new car dealership and I was going to get 50 cars from Honda. Now, I have options. I can pay cash and buy all of those cars from Honda directly and just write them a big check. Or I can do what's called a floor plan expense, which means that you kind of take out the loan for the money and then you pay interest on the value of the inventory that you've bought. So every month you would pay whatever the dollar amount is times the interest rate that you have divided by 12.
But either way, Honda's getting paid when the car's delivered.
But Honda is getting paid
Honda's
when the
not
car is
floating
delivered.
those cars to you, so you have to pay for them either cash or on a
That's
line
right.
of credit.
They're either getting money from the bank or they're getting money directly from you. Now, for a really, really, really long time, flooring expense, the percentage was fairly reasonable. And I feel like we had a really good run for a long time where it was a couple of percent. But it has been creeping up and up and up and up. And here's the problem. So the article says car dealers have so much inventory. So economics is supply and demand, right? So when you have a lot of supply, what happens to your pricing?
Goes down
It goes down
because you need to get rid of your inventory.
So you have to sell your inventory. You sell it at a lower price. Now, the inventory that you bought, if you floor planned it, the interest rates have gone up. So you're slimming your margin and raising your cost of inventory, which is not a good situation to be in. And that's how you get to a point where your new car or used car departments can lose a ton of money, right? Now, it's more a new car because used cars, people don't typically floor plan them and they'll write checks. But on the new car thing is you've got a smaller margin, a higher cost, and it's a really, really good way to dig yourself into a hole. If interest rates are going up for the dealerships, water rolls downhill. So what do you think is happening to consumer interest rates, which is the second thing? And I'm going to give you guys some statistics that are going to blow you guys away, right? So interest rates for floor planning is going up. What's happening to interest rates on car loans?
Going up.
It has been going up really, really consistently. And I haven't bought a car off of like a regular, what I would call a bank rate, and straightforward a couple of decades. I either lease or I'll do like when we bought the Toyota, I think we got like 1.9%. It was sponsored manufacturer. And then leasing, you don't really care about the interest rate as much, but a bank rate loan. So I'm going to give you guys some figures and you guys just guess what it is. So if you have a credit score between 661 and 780, which pretty good credit is what I would say. Okay. What do you guys think that the average APR for a new car is, if you had to guess?
6%.
Yeah, let's say 7%.
6.89 between the two of you. Very, very well done. Now let's slide that thing over to a used car. So the used car interest rates are typically higher than the new car rates.
8%.
Yeah, I was going to say a couple points higher, so maybe 9%. 10%.
9.0. Ooh, you're good at this game. 9.04. 9.04%. Now let's go to what they categorize as a non-prime, 601 to 660, which when I was selling cars all those years ago, if I had a 600, I knew I had a deal. Like I knew they were going to walk away with something, but the average APR for a new car, 9.62%. So a used car, 13.72% is the average APR. Now it's going to get...
Or B tier credit?
Yeah, B paper for sure. Not even the yucky stuff, right? Now we're going to get into the more risky stuff, or the subprime, which is credit score of 501 to 600 and a new car interest rate. Like just doing that and then keeping in mind that the average price of a new car, $47,000. Imagine a $47,000 loan at 12.85% interest. And then if you think that's a bad deal, a used car is a tick under 19%. And then if you're really in deep subprime, which means you probably shouldn't be buying a new car anyway, 15.62, and it's over 20%, 21% for a used car.
Wow.
20%, you're not paying the car off.
You're just paying juice.
Yeah.
It feels like a loan shark almost, doesn't it?
Payday loan.
But just kind of think about that. And then if we're really, really smart and strategic, we're going to assume that, and I know that we talked about this previously, that the average age of a car that people are keeping is on the road is 14 years. So that's not going to help that. People are just going to not be able to buy cars. And then what does that mean for us in service?
We're going to be busy.
We're going to be super busy. And
which we're seeing that.
Yep.
And the thing is that, I believe that this is, kind of a thing that's happened, is that a lot of dealers, because the age of the car was going the other direction, and the cars were built better, we weren't seeing a ton of repair work. But when you're talking about a car that's 14 years old or 15 years old, I don't think it matters what the brand is. Stuff's going to be just worn out and old, and we're going to have to be better at repairs. And then that kind of gets me rolling downhill even more, because if you have to look at overall technician, what would you call it? Aptitude, maybe?
Yeah,
like
skill level.
The skill level's not going up, it's going down. So there's just kind of like this weird perfect storm thing going on. But if we can see it now, this is the time to get better. And get
So
ahead of it.
the lease on Clyde, the Tesla, is coming up, right? So to buy that same Model S Plaid, it's $600 less a month than when we got it 3 years ago.
Wow, same car.
Well, no, newer.
Yeah, but
3 years newer,
that's amazing.
and it's $600 less.
Yeah.
So just think about, I don't know what's happening with the other Teslas, but
That's
I
a
don't
huge
understand
difference.
how it's
Yeah.
so much less.
Yeah. Well, and so when it's like that, and then you think about the interest rate thing, it might be your only option, right? Because if you buy it and take a loan on it at, 9% or
Well, we didn't
whatever
want to get
crazy
rid of it.
numbers. Oh yeah,
because
she
it's
wanted-
wrapped
she
and
wanted to
all
buy
that,
it,
right?
right?
But it doesn't make sense
Mm-hmm.
because it's cheaper to get rid of it and get a new one.
Yeah.
That is not the situation for a Ford or Toyota or, BMW and everybody else.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with your car when the lease is up?
Well, for the longest time, I thought that, I feel like it's got a really reasonable residual, and I've been kind of paying attention to the value and everything like that. And I originally thought that I was going to keep it. However, I felt like I was paying on the high side for that lease anyways. And if I could get a similar car for $400 a month less on it, a lease, or $300 a month less, I would probably just go get a new one and lease it again and try to ride out this interest rate thing until next time around. I feel pretty open. I don't know how you feel about this, but I've always felt like, at least since I moved to LA, and I don't know if it's my first time really living in a metro area, is that like I don't feel the handcuff that I have to have two cars, which is kind of nice. Like if I had to go a month or two and only have one car instead of two, I'm good with that. But I love that car. I really enjoy having a convertible in California. Like I'm super, what do they call that? Stereotypical.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just nice to drive around on the weekends and throw the top down and everything like that.
I mean, just think about the overall mood in the city if you didn't have a car. How much safer people would
Well,
feel.
I feel like everybody's insurance rate would go down.
Yeah.
Right. Intersections would be safer.
They could defund the police.
Yeah. I probably caused between 13 and 22 accidents a day.
Just driving 2 miles or a
And
mile.
for whatever reason, it hasn't been me that gets in the accident. It's like you go through and you create the wake, and then all this stuff happens behind it.
Okay, 5 mistakes that dealers make. 5 mistakes that dealers make. And this is kind of specific to fixed stops, but I think who you are is how you
Yeah, I think some of this transcends
function.
that for sure.
Yeah, there's lessons for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. So number 1, I had that they prioritize metal over the curb. They prioritize how many vehicles they are selling versus what they are making. right?
Yeah.
So everybody measures their success on units versus the overall business operations,
Yeah.
in a sense, right?
Mhm.
They usually don't know what the rest of the dealership is doing, in a sense. But they know how many cars they sold over the weekend.
Yeah.
Um, Number two is they ignore what they don't understand. And we find that all the time, that part of the reason why we get hired is a dealer will be tired of seeing their fixed ops underperform, but they came from sales, right? Like,
Mhm.
I think we're probably the only ones in the industry that have made it a focus to create a path for managers to become general managers. But most general managers and dealers come from the sales side, not from fixed ops.
Sure.
And because they don't come from fixed ops, they ignore what they don't understand, because they don't know what to do. So they'd rather not do anything than push in and lose their authority,
Yeah.
right?
I think it's ignore it best. Actively try to stay away is probably more accurate.
Yeah.
Like they're almost like they really don't. I can't remember who it was that said this. Maybe you'll remember, but we were on a call with somebody that said that if I didn't have to have service, I wouldn't. Do you remember that?
Oh, that's happened a bunch of
Yeah,
times.
I remember it happened with you and I in a call together, and I was like, wow, that's just thinking about like the amount of opportunity you let go out. Because I think about maybe just because I came from sales, I think about service as a sales function, right? And there's that old adage that they say that sales sells the first car and service sells the rest. But there's another side of that coin where if your fixed ops isn't in order, sales could sell the first car and service could make it so they never sell the rest, or somebody else sells the rest.
Sure.
But if we're ignoring it and acting like it doesn't exist, we'll never understand the possibility of the fruits of the labor out of
And
that.
just so think about this for a second before you answer. The dealers that come from the front end that don't understand fixed ops and don't learn it, what kind of people do they end up hiring?
People that they perceive as good salespeople. What do you think?
I think a lot of times, they hire for, instead of results, they hire for,
They know CDK.
yeah,
They
exactly.
So I
Hey,
Oh,
mean, think
yeah.
I think
about.
this guy will be, yeah,
I could have asked the question better to set you up a little better, but think about when we go in, the contrast of the people we end up hiring versus the people that are there.
Yeah.
yeah,
So they're
So
looking
they're
for
the
a quick
keeper of the
fix.
keys.
yeah,
They know CDK. They're not very customer focused. They're not
yes,
performance focused.
yeah,
Because a dealer that doesn't understand fixed ops doesn't understand where the performance is, and so then they don't understand what the person looks
yeah,
like. But
yeah,
think about how many times, if you jump ahead a year or two with our clients and we're involved in the hiring process, just you kind of know your own, right? You know
mm-hmm,
your
Right.
kind.
yeah,
We kind of know what those performers look like. You can point them out
yeah,
where they wouldn't be able to point them out. So they're judging on, one, just whether they like them, and two, if they know the simple stuff like the DMS or
Yeah. So you could make a case that the dealer would be attracted to hire what I call the anti-performer.
yeah,
So
the
so
Charlie Brown.
yeah, so the person that the dealer would be attracted to is the person that's not going to make any waves or get in their business or anything like that. So they're stuck in that closed loop hamster wheel, just kind of doing the thing and, fixing the plumbing and all that stuff and
yeah,
putting out fires all day long. But they're not letting anything get to the dealer, which is kind of what the dealer wants, is for it not to exist if it doesn't have to.
yeah,
So they would perceive that as a win, even if they're losing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that
It's
makes a
great
lot of
insight,
sense.
and I think it's too. We see a lot of times somebody's, been a service manager somewhere for 27 years, and the first time they see a financial statement is when they come to our boot camp, and like you just described, uh, the genesis of that whole process. Like that's kind of how it starts,
Mm-hmm.
and then you end up, several years down the road with those types of scenarios, right? And I think too, it's number one, prioritizing moving metal over the entire business as a whole, and number two, that they don't understand it, so they ignore it. The two, I think are tied really close together, right? Like moving metal, their identity's kind of tied to it, right? So it just becomes their focus, and then what they don't understand, they kind of put it out of their, kind of put it out of their sight. Um, but but yeah, it's interesting. They get that person in there, and they're there for all of that time. And it's always like that thing, like it's okay until it's not. Until you start working into an environment like we're going into right now. And that guy's been there forever, but they don't want to get rid of him, but they don't know it. And it's an interesting time we're walking into. But yeah, that whole thing.
Well, think
Seen it
about
play
this
out so
too,
many
right? Like,
times.
how many times do we get a manager that is a good person and they're
Mhm.
trying hard, but they've never been given the training, and
Yeah.
when they have attended training, either by the manufacturer, NADA, or whatever, on financials and the business, they're more confused
Mhm.
than they are empowered to fix
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
And so they revert back to what they knew because it's just human nature.
Yeah.
And so then think about when we get them and we train them in a way that makes sense and gives them a roadmap, and now they know where to hit the buttons. Exactly the same thing happens to dealers where they go to NADA and they go through the academy or whatever, and they're learning debits and credits. But most of the stuff that they have you looking at is not the stuff that makes you money or runs a healthy business. It's stuff.
Yeah.
It's definitely stuff.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, if you do the right things, those things take care of themselves. But if you just focus on productivity or whatever,
Mhm.
those sort of things can be a distraction to what really drives a healthy business. So dealers are in our industry are handicapped in a sense too. Like, how many times do they come to a master class and they're like, "Oh, I didn't know it was this easy. This
Mhm.
now I know where the buttons are."
Right. Right.
Right?
Yeah.
It's the same for them as it is for service managers. Is even if they want the information, there aren't a lot of places that really teach you how it really works in a simple architecture that where the buttons are.
Mhm.
Most of the time it's people arguing about proficiency versus
Mhm.
efficiency, and
Mhm.
paying on gross and all this weird stuff that just really confuses everybody. Just chasing gross is a death sentence.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So I think dealers suffer from the same disadvantage as managers, and it's not that they're not smart.
Mhm.
They got to where they are because they're smart. They just
Yeah.
don't have a place to have somebody go, "Hey, let me write it on a napkin and just show you. This is
Mhm.
how it works."
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's one of the best compliments that I've ever seen or gotten out of one of those master classes is when the dealer comes up and says, "Hey, I learned more in that,
Yeah.
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 than I did at my NADA academy." Like that means that we're doing something right. We're trying to make
Well, that's our job, is to
yeah.
make it simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, the next one. So this is five mistakes dealers make. This one drives me crazy because it's connected to the last one in the sense of you don't know what a good advisor or a good manager looks like, but a lot of dealers have this old school mentality that certain positions only pay a certain amount. So they'll have a service manager doing these crazy numbers and really performing, and they've built a great team, and they're like, well, a service manager doesn't make more than $7,500 a month. And it's like, no, the good ones make a lot more than that. Like,
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
good ones earn what they're worth.
Mhm.
Like, you put them on a pay plan and let them maximize it, but they're trying to figure out how to make the most that they can make. Same thing with advisors, same thing with techs. And they have this mindset of the position only pays this. And even though intuitively dealers understand that it's a performance based system, and they will think about sales that way. So if a salesperson was selling 50 cars a month, they'd be okay with them making whatever it was. But a service advisor or a tech or a service manager, they just see them as more of a salary type position,
Yeah.
and it's not performance based in their head. And the reason I believe it's not performance based is because they don't understand the economics and how it works.
Sure.
Yeah, so there's another thing that you're not figuring into, that is that over the last few years, we've been making a lot more money on the variable side of the business. So the overall financial statements have gotten really healthy for a lot of dealerships. So they have, in some cases, not paid as much attention to how much they're paying for some of the salaries for some of these people that are chasing gross and not necessarily performing to the profitability of the departments. So now we're going to have this weird reverse correction. Now that there's not all the profit coming in from variable, now they're going to start to have to pay attention to that, because if they're looking at the total dealership profitability, it could have been good regardless of whether or not you're good and fixed, right? So it's like, oh, we want the best guy or whatever. So they perceive that this is the best guy. So they're like, okay, we'll overpay him to get him in. Well, all of a sudden, if they're not making any money on the front end, that guy's salary starts to matter. And there's a bunch of people that are going to get blindside fired. That's what I think is going to happen in the next 6 months. I could be wrong about that, but they allowed for it because they didn't care. And now they're going to start to care a little bit. And I think people are going to get haircuts all over the place, whether they're performing
We've seen
well
it
or
happen
not.
before.
Yeah, it just seems like that's on the horizon.
Number 4 is they don't understand the business model. So they think of the business model as in nothing happens until you sell something. But that's not the business model. The business model of a dealership is a more complicated version of selling a printer. Like, you sell the printer to sell the ink. And the money is in the parts and the fixed ops long term. That's how you're healthy. But they just think about selling printers, and they don't care about where they get their ink. And what 80% of customers, after they buy a printer, are getting their ink from independents. They're getting the generic ink because
So they're
there's no
losing, yeah.
relationship. They don't understand that the business model is actually fixed ops is the heart and soul, and the selling is feeding the top of the funnel. And so you have to have both. You have to be good at putting cars into the market, but you got to look at it way more like selling an app in an app store than just selling hardware.
Yeah.
Great.
And we're going to see a shift with some manufacturers where the dealers can't afford the inventory because of interest rates and supply and demand. What's going to happen is the dealers are going to go, okay, we're going to go to a direct to consumer model, and we're going to pay you a flat to deliver the vehicle. So basically you're a parts and service department now, because we're going to do all the financing and everything on an app up front, like Tesla does or whatever. And a lot of dealers they're not going to know what to do because fixed ops is an afterthought. So they're going to say, oh, they're taking my business away. But actually the truth of the matter is if they were paying you a flat to deliver the vehicle and you didn't have flooring and all that overhead,
Yeah,
you
you'd be
could
better
actually
off.
make more. But they're not going to embrace it because they're going to see it as though they're taking away the thing that is my identity, instead of saying, hey, this is a business model and they're going to make this part of the business model easier. But fixed ops is where it's at.
Yeah.
There's going to be some shifts coming, I think, in that area. And then number 5, I have that they don't ask for help. So they'd rather, they would rather just keep going with the way that they've always done things instead of asking for help. And it's the dude that won't ask for directions in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's kind of like we were talking about with those group calls. The bottom performers, they're everywhere but their results and wanting to do something about them. It's all these different things. And then the top performers will take input from whoever will give it to them and try it and see if it works and raise their hand and ask for help.
Think
and
about it.
They're seeking they're just curious. They're seeking information from wherever they can get it, whether it's books or coaching or training or whatever it is. So it's it is an interesting thing to watch. Like and you your heart goes out to them in a way, because they're the ones that need the most help. But the ones that usually ask for it are the ones that are already doing pretty good a lot of times too. But every once in a while, you kind of get the ones that just say, "Hey, I need the help," and raise their hand. And then
We've had quite a few of those that I mean, we definitely have got our system down to where we can flip them pretty quick. Even the
yeah,
groups, right? Like
yeah,
we've
yeah,
we've moved the numbers on some groups pretty dramatically, pretty quick. Yeah, I just think our constant working on our system and how to get better has really started to pay off. Like
yeah,
we weren't that quick before. It would take a
yeah,
year sometimes before,
yeah,
and now we can do it really quick.
yeah, absolutely. And I think part of that is they not very many people that offer training are going to only talk about it through the lens of making them having a goal to be the best in customer experience and profitability. Most people are going to talk about it as just service advisor training, and I think once they see that we're trying to provide a different outcome, and everything that goes along with that, it kind of creates a safe place or safe environment to come and ask for help. And I think that's
We
important.
definitely are taking the harder path.
Yeah.
I mean, we take the harder path because just fundamentally, when I was a dealer, I just hated consultants because they would come in and they would train your advisors, but you weren't making any more money.
Right.
They would spend more money,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was always like, why can't somebody like see it from my point of view?
Yeah.
Like, we need cash flow, we need customers to come back,
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
has to be well rounded and it has to serve the bigger purpose.
Yeah.
And nobody grades themselves the way we do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like there's nobody out there uh that does what we do, but also that even looks at profitability.
Right.
Right. That us suggesting that that's the report card is so funny. I can tell you, and I think I speak for all the coaches, like we're so vested in the clients that it physically hurts me to see someone have a bad month. Like
Hmm.
physically, I'm looking at a financial
Hmm.
statement, and if it's got a
Oh, I
minus at the
hate
bottom,
that when
like,
when one of our clients is like, "Well, it's way better than it
Yeah.
was," and we're like,
no, it's
"Come on,
so
like,
Yeah.
that's
terrible,
not
and
what we're
it's
shooting for.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, let's get this thing going."
Yeah.
Well, and
Every month that goes by, like, we're not going to get it back.
yeah, and it didn't dawn on me until you just said that is that any other partner that they would have would be okay with it, but to us it's like, oh, it's so difficult to look at.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think that that's the right way. I mean, it's at the end of the day, any kind of partnership you do with other businesses should
Think
be like
about how
that.
much we've changed. Like, just think
Yeah.
about a year ago
Yeah.
or 2
Not even
years ago,
close.
how we fulfill, how we do it. Like, that's the one thing that I love about Chase Hughes, right? That we always say about him is that he is exactly who he is, what he
Practices what he
teaches.
preaches.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And in a sense, like that's the one thing that I'm proud of is that we're constantly reinventing a better way to do it. And that's not normal, I don't
Mhm.
think.
Mhm.
Or if you just look back on the way we did things and we were having success, but just not to the degree we are now, it's dramatically different. And
Yeah.
who knows, where it's going to go because
It's
it's
also
always getting
fun to
better.
see how fast it's happening now.
Mhm.
Like that part's really fun to be on that ride.
Yeah.
But I can think of at least, I mean, I've been here for over 6 years, and I can think of like 5 distinct
Shifts.
reiterations
Yeah.
of coaching. Like there's no way we'd be where we're at right now, or our clients would be where we're at if we were doing the things we did 6 years ago. Like it's drastically different.
It's going to be interesting too, adding in this leadership
Mm.
piece.
Yeah.
It's
I
going
agree.
to
Well,
be
I
very
think
interesting.
I think the leadership piece is my favorite part about that is that it's top down because it's so entrepreneurial and like dealer owner level, like the stuff we're talking about now, like the dealer, like you get somebody in a room that they're a business person. And one of my favorite things about like talking to a dealer is like those true real dealers, like they still feel like they sign the check for the electric bill, like their level of vested interest in the dealership, no matter how many they have or how successful they are, like they still feel tied to that.
Mhm.
And if we can create better leaders at that level, it's literally just going to keep kind of making everybody below them better, and it's super exciting of what's on the horizon.
It's gonna help us be better for sure. But do you know this, Hoagie? That so just the leadership book,
Mhm.
and it's not specific to automotive, right?
Mhm.
But do you know that what is the percentage of females buying the book?
48%.
Almost half of the people
Whoa.
buying the book are female.
That's interesting.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
What's the average age? I was kind of looking at that, but I didn't see an average.
I don't know if I remember.
It's really big in the 30s and 40s,
Yeah.
like in there, which is kind of where it's targeted.
That is interesting.
But the female part is exciting.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
I would have
is
never.
really exciting.
Most of everything we do like pulls 20% or something. Like,
Yeah.
and if you look at the automotive industry is
very heavily male anyway.
we would have a higher percentage of females per capita, but it's a male dominated
Yeah.
industry.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Half
just
is
out in the wild.
surprising.
yeah,
That's
it's
awesome
great.
though. That's exciting. That's really exciting.
Interesting little thing that kind of surprised us.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Well, so just recapping, 5 mistakes that dealers make. One is their priorities are metal over the curb. So they're focused on variable, not fixed. They see fixed as a necessary evil. Number 2, they ignore what they don't understand. Number 3 is they believe that certain positions in fixed ops only pay a certain amount, which keeps them from attracting high performers. Number 4 is they don't understand the business model. So they're functioning in a business model of nothing happens until you sell something and not a retention model. And number 5 is they don't ask for help. And that's the most common thing too, is you really, really good business minds in every industry have a ton of help. They have a ton of outside influences, and unfortunately the car business is very incestuous. It's like, I go to a 20 group, but it's not really help.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
just sharing.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Service Drive Revolution. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Service Drive Revolution. We're uploading new stuff every day, so make sure you subscribe and click the bell icon so you don't miss out. If you have a question you'd like us to answer on the show, call 8333-ASK-SDR and we'll answer your question on the show. That's 8333-ASK-SDR. For special deals on our books and training, head over to offers.chriscollinsinc.com. Now that's offers.chriscollinsinc.com. I'm Chris Collins, and I'll see you in the next video.